how the whole thing started with Jack. He didn't tell the full story. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said you were praying nude on the floor?
No, I didn't say. I never said I praying nude on the floor.
Well, you were on the floor nude.
No, I never heard this before.
That's the story I remember. And then you sat up. You sat up and said, "I'm going to walk to Bethlehem."
I never told that. That's the first time I've ever heard this.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've been telling the wrong story?
Yeah. Not only that, on many things you do.
A group of Jesuit volunteers in Seattle were getting together around this idea that Father Jack Morris had to walk to Bethlehem. He was wanting to bring peace into the world in a situation where there was a lot of disharmony and nuclear buildup.
I had heard about these people who were walking from San Francisco for peace, and they were talking about a walk to Moscow. Well, something in me was going with that, and then I read this article in Sojourner magazine. It was an interview with Father George Zabelka. George was saying the only way this thing's we're going to do anything, and nobody can do it, but the church could if it takes as much responsibility for this as it does about abortion and birth control. We can make an impact and change things. As I read that, I said out loud, I felt this thing go through me, and I said, I'm going to walk to Bethlehem for peace. And I felt stupid. I couldn't believe I said it. Well, anyway, I wrote George Zabelka a letter.
Here's a person, a Catholic chaplain during World War II, connected with the group on Tinian Island, saying, God is blessing you people who are Catholic. They didn't know that they were dropping a nuclear bomb. And George was fully behind it.
He had a conversion when he flew over and saw what the bomb did. I don't think in his own mind he ever reconciled himself with that.
George phoned me about after I wrote to him, and he said yes, he would come. So I said, so far now it's just George and me. So the volunteers wanted a meeting.
We got inspired by it and met for about a year and to see if we would really do it, and we planned it and started off on April 9th, 1982.
The first day of the walk, we met outside the Trident Nuclear Submarine Base, which is near Bremerton, Washington. We got together in our small group and sort of came around the corner, and all of a sudden here was this huge mass of people. It ranged from Archbishop Raymond Hunthausen through just people from all over the Northwest. You sort of walk around the corner, it was like, wow, this is really going to happen.
We started on Good Friday, symbolic that these dark, dirty weapons could crucify the whole human race.
That kind of a place sort of makes you ask yourself, what is the meaning of what we're doing in this country?
The people who were there to send us off were part of us. That I remember very clearly. And then getting those goddamn blisters. That started almost right away.
I do remember that first step, that first moving forward. There was a tremendous feeling of the beginning of something. I remember feeling when I saw all those people that it was not about me so much as about many, many, many who wanted a change.
It wasn't just a walk, it wasn't a march. It was kind of a prayerful event. It was a pilgrimage. And the fact that we were going to Bethlehem and the Prince of Peace and Jesus Christ and all of what that meant to me in my own life, and that kind of was kind of the backdrop of the whole thing. And that meant a lot to me.
What I loved about the walk was there was the because it was so well organised, and there was a truck or whatever that carried your bag, that you didn't have to, you literally didn't have to carry anything.
Each person contributed into a kitty at the rate of $100 per person per month. We would have enough for our expenses. There was no housing costs, of course, and we were getting hospitality often in the evenings at various churches that we would stop at.
We walked from town to town, and that was, most of the time it was anywhere from 15 to 25, 30 miles. But in between the towns, there's just, countryside or farms or, nature.
I remember the incredible America that I discovered. Completely soundless thunderstorm, flat land with corn for as far as you could see, Jell-O salad, things that I had never heard of or seen.
As we walked, our message developed and shifted and got more, it was more a conversation as we went across the country.
We were vagabonds. We were grungy and dusty from being on the road and sweaty from being out in the hot sun, but people welcomed us because I think it captured people's imagination. We don't have to put up with the threat of a nuclear holocaust. We can do something about it. We had timed the arrival of the pilgrimage into DC very intentionally to correspond with the annual meeting of the U.S. Catholic bishops because they were developing a pastoral letter on nuclear deterrence.
They were all meeting in a big hotel. We vigiled and prayed and leafleted in the lobby, and we tried to talk to bishops in the elevators coming up and down, and we had a presence there for all those days.
We were saying, people are counting on you to make a strong statement, to uphold our moral and spiritual values and say that it's wrong to have all these thousands of nuclear weapons and to threaten the very existence of the human race.
walking to Shepherd's Field, the traditional place where the shepherds came from to find Jesus at the manger, not far from Bethlehem. We were walking in silence.
Well, I think folks were carrying candles or lights or something on our way into Bethlehem. I remember someone was with us who sung the song, "I Can Almost See the Lights of the City," and we'd been singing that, and that song in my mind was playing as we walked toward the city.
It's kind of unreal. It's like these are our last steps. These are our last miles together.
And we walked through a garbage dump. And it seemed to go on for a while.
And there were dogs barking. And so it was dark everywhere, but you could see the fire coming up from the garbage. And it was misty and smoky from the fires, you know. I remember thinking, this is so much like Dante's Inferno. I mean, it was like we're walking through hell, you know, and it was the last few steps into Bethlehem.
It was kind of symbolic of what we were standing for against this terrible darkness of maybe Gehenna even, you know.
It was very dramatic for George. He was very tired by that point. Physically, I think he was very taxed by this whole experience coming to an end.
He fainted, and I thought, oh my God, he's gonna die. What a dramatic ending. The man said that he had to do this before he died, and he meant it.
Bethlehem was pretty busy Christmas Eve, so we wanted to kind of walk in at a quiet time. Walked into Manger Square.
Like all things, where does it end and where does it begin? There's been 2 years of walking and almost another year of planning that has gone into this, and this one little event on Christmas night in 1983 culminates all of that.
I think we were successful bringing the stories home to our communities here about what was happening, you know, what was really happening in Ireland, what was really happening in Israel and the West Bank, what was really happening in impoverished communities across the U.S. and Europe.
For me, it was a witness, and you know, we were out there not just, you know, calling other people to live at peace and harmony, or countries to live at peace and harmony, but we were trying and struggling ourselves. All the way along the line, it was a struggle for us to be together, to live in peace and harmony together.
The whole idea of pilgrimage is to seek wisdom, to open yourself up to a greater knowledge. We were imploring people to join with us in searching for an answer to these problems. That's what a pilgrimage is. It's not the answer, it's seeking the answer.
You know, I was thinking that at the beginning of the walk, you start those first few steps and you don't realize how important they are. You're just walking, you're just starting. So you don't even think about it, you just keep walking. And towards the end, you realize how every single step made a difference. You couldn't have done it without any of them, you know? You need all the small steps to make it work.